If you've stumbled across my channel before, you know how much of a Yamaha fan I am. And beside me here is a 2007 Yamaha Grizzly that is in need of some work. Welcome back, guys. I'm Rick, the Honest Mechanic, and welcome to the shop. About a month ago, I took a 10-day trip with the guys, and we were just off-grid. I took my Wildcat trail, took some pictures with that. I'm going to show them here. And we were just having a blast doing some trail riding and just, you know, a lot of stuff like that. And this was one of the bikes that was in the group. And unfortunately, it was the only bike that didn't make it through the 10 days. And as a Yamaha fan, I was pretty disappointed. But turns out I was able to diagnose it on the spot. Not easily, but it's not charging. So we're going to diagnose that better here with some proper tools. See if we can fix it. Stick around. So as I was saying, all of a sudden this thing just kind of broke down. It just stopped moving altogether. Battery ended up being completely dead. But what's really impressive to me anyways is the amount of miles this thing has. It's got 9,050 kilometers, 600 hours on the engine. And as far as the owner tells me, this is the first major breakdown he's had. And that doesn't really surprise me for these type of products. The Grizzly tends to be a very good, reliable bike. And because it's not charging, and even to boost it, because that was the first thing we ended up having to do, that is one thing I'm not very satisfied with when it comes to the design. You have to remove the rack up front here in order to get to the battery, which is under here. I think that if it was my own, I would have some kind of a lead or, you know, some booster cables or like a plug set up so that you can easily get to that, or at least give it a boost when you need it to. We tried, you know, we were in the bush, so we tried cutting some of these wires that go directly to the battery to get anything, but it just wasn't enough to get it going. So we took it apart. Luckily, I carry tools with me everywhere I go, and we're able to boost it enough to get it back to the campsite. So anyways, enough talk for now. Let's get this rack off. With the carrier rack removed, we now have access to the battery. It's tucked away right down here. It's not exactly the easiest to get to, as I was talking about. But let's start by checking for voltage. So we're going to put my meter down to the 20 volt scale, DC, and put the other lead here. Let's have a look. We've got, well, 12.8 volts. So that's awesome. Let's fire it up and see if it actually miraculously starts charging again, because I'll tell you, it wasn't charging before. So let's just double check that. So with the bike idling, let's see what we got here. Oh, well, we're drawing power clearly because we got 12.3 now. So that's not a very good thing. That proves that, yeah, it really isn't charging at all. Well, with that said, let's get to diagnosing. Check this out, guys. I have an actual service manual to work with here. The owner of the bike was able to give this to me when I picked up the bike, or actually he dropped it off. But anyways, it's going to be much easier to work with. I love this style of diagnosing because you just basically follow the flow chart, yes or no, and then you move on to the next test. And it usually provides you with all of the readings that you need to do. So what's the very first thing we do after we found out that the battery isn't charging? Well, it says here to check the main fuse, check the battery, charging voltage, all that stuff, right? So main fuse. So let's go check that and see if it's any good. And if I go back through the book, turns out that the main fuse is item number 5 here, and that is probably right near the battery tray, because that's where the battery tray is. So let's go find it and see if we can test it. And that was pretty close. The battery's over here. This is a fuse panel over here, and then there's 2 fuses. One of them, the first one according to the book, is the EPS, so electronic power steering. And then this is the one for the main fuse. So let's take it out and see if it's got any resistance. So just in case I'm wrong, because they are both identical, and in case of the diagram orientation is off. I took them out. I took them both out. Now looking at them visually, they look okay, but I've been fooled before. So let's fire up the meter here and see how they test. All right, testing one of them here. So that's a good one. See if I can. So we'll put this one aside. Now let's see if I can test this guy. This is where having a camera person is handy, but I managed to do it by myself here, I think. Okay, that's good. So it's not the fuse. So let's put those back in and move on to the next procedure. Okay, and back to this page. So main fuse is good. So what do we have here? Yes, it's fine. So moving on, we're going to check the battery. Minimum voltage 12.8. So we actually had 12.76, I believe. So that's okay. There's a note here though. It says before troubleshooting, remove. Okay. Seat's easy to do. Battery cover is already off. Right side cover, V-belt ducting number 2 for cooling. You will cross that bridge when we get there. Maybe we won't have to take all that apart. Maybe not. So the next page says charging voltage. So we did check the charging voltage earlier. No, I don't have a tachometer, but even at idle, these bikes should produce at least 14 or at least 13.5, right? So there's nothing. We're actually drawing power, so no. Now the next thing is to check the stator coil resistance, and we're looking for 3 connectors, and they're all going to be white wires, 1, 2, and 3. And between all 3, we're going to have to look for this resistance. So if we have that resistance, then we're moving on to wiring, and if it seems fine, is replacing the regulator. That's probably the cheaper route, because to replace a stator, you've seen me before on a couple of channels or a couple of videos do that on a Rhino before, same motor. It's a big job. So hopefully this is what we see between all 3. So let's find out where that plug is and get testing. All right, so when you got a service manual like that, it might be a good idea to just follow the instructions, because the only thing I can see here is the voltage regulator right here, and I can't get to the plug. Like, I mean, even if I turn my light on here, it's not easy to get to. So I am gonna have to take this right panel off and the seat and whatever duct work is underneath there, as they were calling. So yeah, I guess just follow the instructions. Start by pulling the seat. That's a simple one. Oh, and before I go too far, I should mention, guys, with the 4 subscribers I've got watching me and, so, you know, actually supporting me, found out I have another little guy that likes to watch me with his dad while he's doing his thing. Isaac is a pretty cool little guy. He loves Thomas the Train. He's also a big fan of me, apparently. Loves watching me disassemble stuff. That's the easy part. Putting it back together, making it run. That's not so easy. But I want to dedicate this video to Isaac. He's a pretty cool little guy. And I'm hoping I don't have to disassemble too much in this video, because if I am right, and it is the stator, Isaac, you're going to see a whole lot of parts, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to come apart to get to it. But maybe, I'm going to cross my fingers that it's only this box down here and the video will be nice and short. Otherwise, you're going to have to grab yourself a juice box, buddy, because it's going to be a long one. So if you do take these apart, if you have a Grizzly, guys, don't just pull on these panels, because there's a screw right here, which I have in my hand right now, but it's tucked up underneath the fender, and yeah, you'd be pulling on it for quite a while before it ever came loose. And since I'm doing this too, reminds me, I get questions a lot of times like, how is it that you can take something like this all apart and know where all the hardware goes, reassemble it, and make everything work? I mean, I guess a little bit of training, a little bit of practice makes things much easier, but doing like what I just did here and putting the hardware right back into where it goes on the panel is a lot easier than just throwing it into a bowl and just rifling through it and going, oh, you know what, I think this is where that went. So this is a bit of a trick that I can pass on to you guys, if that makes any sense or makes it easier for you. And yeah, so carrying on, looks like the ducting that they were talking about, I'm assuming it's this, because if I take a quick look, I see a bunch of connectors underneath here. So let's take this off. That was relatively painless. We're going to keep it that way. And I guess I got to be careful now because it is a family show, since, you know, Isaac is like 3, 4? No. Is that? Nah, 3. I don't know. I can't remember. I feel bad now. I'm going to keep this as a family show like I've been doing for a long time. So now, how do we get to testing? After doing a little bit of digging here, it took the panel off here that would be normally used to check the oil, but that gave me access 2 to 3 wires in question. These are all white. There's 3 of them, and there's a 4th wire, and I believe that would be your trigger coil. But this is your stator wire. So I managed to follow it all the way across the other side and see where that one goes. And it actually comes up here, follows down right into the regulator, which makes total sense. And yeah, there was no way I was getting that apart from the other side because the plug has to come out this way. So let's take it apart, see if we can do some testing. All right. That is not the easiest thing to get to. Let go. Come on. Oh, that's a tight plug in there. Huh. I've probably got my big head in the way. You probably can't see anything anyways, but this is not easy. Okay. I'll take this out for you guys, and once it's out here, we'll do the testing. Whew. Okay, I won. And how I managed to do that is I had my thumb on the button here, and from the opposite side, with a flat screwdriver, I managed to like push on the connector to be able to get it free. Anyways, I got it. So let's go check the resistance numbers, because I don't remember what they are. All right, so 0.1 to 0.13. So let's hope we get that. Hopefully you can see the meter here. So we're going to go to our lowest scale. We're going to test it first, make sure it works. And the meter works. And we're going to go from one white wire to the next. What do we got? Okay, so that's high. Now let's go to this one. And that's high as well. It did say 0.1. And then we're going to go this way. And again, 5.3. They're all consistently 5.3. It's not looking good, guys. Looks like the resistance is a little on the high side. Okay. I think, and all I'm doing is, if you guys are noticing, I'm just kind of probing in between all 3. From here to here, and then to here, and back here. And they're all the same. They're all 5.3. Now I should be getting 0.1. Well, that's not good. Well, if it is in fact the stator coil like they say, I did find a procedure to remove what's also called an AC magneto. But this is the stator coil right here. This is the part that we're looking at replacing because it's not doing its job. So these are all the things I got to do, and I think there's another page as well. Okay, there's one more item. So there's 17 items that need to be done in order to get this apart, starting from draining the oil, the coolant, the floorboard, and obviously the list goes on. So, but 5 ohms seems a lot. It just seems a lot. I mean, especially when it's 0.5 or 0.1. Before we get into all of this, let me just recheck that. All right, so I'm going to fire up the meter again. And I've had this meter for literally probably 20 years, and I've trusted it for that long as well. But, you know, sometimes electrical can be weird. So I'm going to go to the lowest scale, which is a 200 ohm scale here. And The book says 1, but I don't have an auto meter like the new guys have, like fancy stuff where it finds the proper scale on its own. So let's just go and see this, what we have again, and we should see hopefully the same thing. Okay, so a little bit lower now. So there's definitely something wrong because it's not reading the same. That's weird. Huh. It's not reading the same as it was. Now it's reading 1. Well, maybe it is in fact dead, which means this video just got a whole lot longer. All right, guys, so it's the next day, and I am still in denial about that stator being bad. I don't really want to tackle it right now, but anyways, I borrowed a auto-ranging multimeter from work, so I'm just going to use it for tonight and bring it back, but let's retest those leads and see what we get. All right, so hopefully you guys can see this multimeter. So I have it set to ohms. Let's redo this whole test here. And it's got 0. It's like open, or I guess a short, I guess. So that kind of makes me feel better now, because there's nothing happening. Like, it's not, I know 0.1 is not lots and it might still beep, but I got 0, absolutely nothing. Oh, now I got 0.2, hold on. 0.2. This is so odd, guys. Like, why are the readings changing all the time? They're never the same. There's 0.1, but I don't trust it now. Okay, this is 0.2. 0.2. Oh, okay. I don't know what to tell you guys. I'm going to do a little bit more research and see if there's another test that can be done on this, because there's a lot of work to pull that, and I would hate to spend that type of time and money, especially on a part that's maybe not even bad. Maybe it is wiring after all. Okay, so after scouring the good old internet for a little bit, I was able to find another test, and it's all coming back to me. I have done these tests before. I'm not sure why the manual doesn't have it in there, but they call it a dynamic test. And what we're going to do, is we're going to test the stator with the engine running, and we're going to see how much voltage it's putting out. So the stator actually produces AC voltage, and according to what I found, it's somewhere between 20 to 25 volts if it's good. So start it up and see what we get. I'm going to use both meters, by the way, so I can compare. So I'm going to turn this one on. I've got 20 volts, and I got to hit a little button here for AC. And this one's auto ranging, set to AC volts. So let's see what happens here. Fire it up. So I'm going to start with the auto ranging one, because that's the leads I picked up first. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but I got 2.7. 3.4, 3.4. So again, these two are low. Like, that's 2.6, 2.7 now. 3.4, 3.4. Okay, so these two are low. The others were 3.4. So just for fun, let's see what we get on this older meter. And I've got 2.6, 3.4. Hey, we're getting the same readings. That's funny. 3.4. Hey, they're finally agreeing on something. And as much as I am happy that they're agreeing on something, I can tell you that I'm not in agreement with the fact that it's not good. I'm definitely going to be changing the stator now, because that's technically 3 separate tests I've done, because I've done 2 static tests, one with each meter, and now I've done a dynamic test, and all the readings are way out to lunch. So I guess I'm ordering a stator. And by the way, I also order the rectifier at the same time, because to me, all of those units work together, and I think it's a good idea to do. So it's like changing one wheel bearing on the one side and not changing the other. I mean, technically you have all the same mileage, right? So yeah, it's gonna be a long video now. All right guys, so I've decided, instead of making this a very long video, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like 45 minutes if I had to guess, taking it all apart, putting it back together, all that stuff, I'm gonna cut the video short here, because according to my analytics, and yes, I do try and take track of that and see what you guys are watching and how much you're watching of me and what you like and what you don't like, so that I can make content according to that. According to those analytics, the average person watching my channel doesn't like watching anything over about 20-25 minutes long, which if I had to guess right now, we're probably getting close. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if this video has helped you in any way, or a friend for that matter. And I will see you all in the next video. And as always, I've been putting a tip of the day at the end of the video. Might be repeating myself here. Actually, I am repeating myself here, but the tip of the day is going to be talking about hardware. When you're disassembling something, replace the hardware where you found it. If it's on a component, it's a lot easier. If you screw it in a few times here, it's not going to come loose. You can't lose it, because if you do, you're losing the whole component with it. So that is the tip. And if you don't do that, I also like to use that tin foil or the cupcake trick with the cupcake plan. That's another one that I like to use. So anyways, thanks again guys. If you watched the video to the end, super awesome. I will see you all in the next one with the new stator. Bye. Okay guys, so I've decided, instead of making this an extremely long